Welcome everyone to episode 3 of Barf City.
Oh
I'm
yeah, this
Eric.
is episode 3. I'm Roseanne Barr.
Roseanne Barr this time, really?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, she has blonde hair now. We're matchers.
What? I actually seen her with her here.
Yeah, she's had it for a little while. So she got it not too long after she got fired from, the Connor show. And she's pretty well had it ever since. So
I just because I don't pay attention to actors and actresses that often.
I really don't either. I just follow her on Instagram, so I saw the whole spiel that kind of happened when it all went down, and I was like, and plus my family wouldn't shut the hell up about it, and because they went on and on and on about, like, some of them, my own family were like taking sides on this whole ordeal. Some of them were like, they supported what they did to Roseanne, and they were like, oh, I don't blame them what they did to her, and some were saying, oh, the show's just as good or better without her, and then some were saying like, oh no, it's not as good without her, and it was like, so just because of all this, I was kind of kept forced into the loop because of all that. And yeah.
It becomes a weird thing in shows, even if it's not like a situation like that situation.
Yeah.
People split when it comes to sides. Like the most funny one for me, anyways, is Team Edward or Team Jacob.
Oh yeah, I remember when all that crap went down.
See, I kid you not. Literally, I sat in the middle row in Spanish class, right?
Yeah.
And it was so bad that all the Team Jacob girls, because there's only like 2 guys in the class, all the Team Jacob girls were on one side of the room, and all the Team Edward girls on the other side of the room. So literally left the whole row.
Yeah.
It was perfectly even. The whole middle row only had me and the other dude that was in the class.
Yeah.
There was 2 desks behind us that was empty.
Yeah,
and they kept trying to pull us in. Like, whose side are you? I'm like, I what?
It's like, I don't want to side.
They're the whole reason I read the books, because I was curious, what the fuck is this whole Team Edward, Team Jacob thing about? Like, why is it important to these girls? And I read the book, I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I remember when I used to be married, my wife, I could never quite tell whose side she was on. She seemed to be a little bit wishy-washy on the whole thing. She was like, it seemed like there were points where she took Edward's side, but then there were points where she was like, took Jacob's side. So I was just like, okay, I could never really tell, and I guess I never cared enough to ask. So I never even watched the last movie. I only watched the first. Actually, I don't even think I watched the third to the last movie. I only watched the first 2, so because she forced me to watch them practically.
Well, like, I watched all the movies and I've read all the books.
Yeah.
Primarily because I got the books to figure out what was going on, and then I kind of got intrigued with the story. Yeah. And my second to youngest sister, she got the books, and we had a major ice storm come through Arkansas. Yeah. And I basically had nothing to read because I read all my book that I had already checked out from the library. And so I decided to take the books, and she's already read them, and read them through the entire ice storm since there was nothing else to do.
Well, that's one way to kill time.
I literally had a CD player that ran on batteries as well as being plugged in. And I remember putting, I think it was the Minutes to Midnight, album of Linkin Park.
Yeah.
And I had that playing in the background as I'm reading these books.
Linkin Park mixed with I
always have to listen to music and read.
Yeah. Oh, really? See, I can't do that because I've never been diagnosed with ADHD, but I show a lot of symptoms for it. But my ADHD kind of, or whatever it is, kind of always tends to kick in when I put like music on or something. If I try to read a book, my brain will start wanting to listen to the music, or vice versa. Like, I'll try to listen to the music and then my brain will pay only attention to the book. So then the music kind of becomes pointless. So
Well, no, that's the whole point for me is the music becomes like the background of a track on a movie or video
Right.
game.
You're trying to drown out the background noise. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, it just adds to the noise. It makes it worse. So
Well, I'm the type of person that when I hyperfixate on a book, I
yeah.
start imaging the book like it's a movie.
Yeah.
Like my brain is so weird. Like when I start thinking of stuff, I can like almost image it, and it's like weird, like outline images of things, like clear, not a clear face of whatever. You kind of like when you're dreaming.
Yeah.
My brain can image stuff like that, and so when I read a book and I put on a track, the track is in the background of my ears, but my mind is focusing on imaging the story.
Yeah.
So just for me, it enhances the experience depending on the track I choose. I have to choose the right track, the right songs for the book.
Yeah.
Because
I will say music can sometimes help me create stories because sometimes it fuels my imagination. But when I'm trying to actually read or be presented with an already existing story, yeah, it's just distraction to me. So
I guess I'm just lucky that way.
yeah, I mean, I wish I could, listen to music while reading and stuff like that. It would, heck, I wish I could have a decent amount of background noise while reading. It would probably help me read through a book faster. It takes me so long to get through one because I'm constantly get distracted and I'm like having to reread pages over and over again. But yeah.
Yeah, now I've gotten more into audiobooks than actual reading.
Yeah. I will say I listen to books more than reading them now, but I still read some. So
My only problem with audiobooks is I have weird, like, so certain sounds or ways people talk, and I know
yeah.
they can't help you, just how their mouth works, how they
Yeah.
are. I have to be very careful because like certain sounds after a while of that mouth noises will actually start to like irritate the crap out of me.
Yeah.
Like even if I make a weird mouth noise myself, I'm just like, oh, why did I fucking make that noise?
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think a lot of
Yeah.
that stems from I grew up in a family that was like very big on if you're smacking while you're eating, you get smacked.
Yeah.
You know,
My sister was like that. She hated it. She couldn't stand smacking. So even if it was just like very, very light smacking, she'd be like, "Stop that smacking." It's like you could barely even hear it.
yeah, I have to watch a movie or have something on the background, even when my wife's eating, because I can hear her eat, and it irritates me to listen to someone eat.
Yeah. Oh, it doesn't.
But
Yeah.
you notice, like on the weekends that we've worked together, if you started eating near me, I instantly put on something, like put in my headphones or something.
I've never noticed that, but I probably will now. So
Yeah,
now that's probably all I ever will notice. Every time I start eating, I'm going to be like, "Oh, yep, he's putting his headphones on." Yeah.
yeah. Either I'll put on my headphones or
I
I'll
don't really
start
think I smack
growling.
that like at all, but I probably do. I just don't notice. So.
Yeah, well, you're not that bad until you're eating something crunchy.
Well, I mean, I
That's
can't help it if it's crunchy. So.
yeah. But now, uh, I'm going to say his name. I don't care if he likes it or not. Now, Tristan,
Yeah,
he made weird noises when he ate.
I don't know if I've ever seen him. If he did eat in front of me, I don't recall. So
Yeah, Tristan made some weird noises. But so yeah, I got way off track where we were, but
yeah,
he's
well,
went a weird way with that one.
it's always going to happen on this podcast, most likely. But
Yeah.
yeah, I know the other. Speaking of coworkers, uh, with the old guy that we work with, I think he. I don't know if anybody told. Probably not because you hadn't been at work since Friday. Though.
Yeah.
He showed up. He is like he's slowly losing it. I think he showed up twice Friday at work, thinking he had to come into work. He showed up like 2 hours after I got there, and I was like, "Dude, what are you doing here?" And he was like, "What do you mean?" And I was just like, "I just got here like 2 hours ago." I was like, "Are you gonna sit around here this whole time?" You know? And he was just like, "Well," he was like, "I didn't work yesterday, you know, because I called in." I was like, "Yeah, what does that have to do with anything?" And he was just like, he stared at the phone, and then he looked at the time. You know, you could tell just the look on his face. He was so confused. And I was just like, he was like, "So basically, I don't have to be here until quite a bit later." I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Well, I'm just going to leave my bag here if that's okay." I was like, "Okay, I don't know why you would, but you can if you want." And
You messed up there because I guess you don't remember his schedule because
yeah,
that who usually that night is the other old guy. The old
yeah,
guy
yeah,
you thought he's not supposed to be there until 6 p.m. Saturday.
right. And he was thinking he was, he was confused. I think he was thinking it was Saturday. And I told him,
Yeah.
I was like, "Well, you do know it's Friday, right?" Because that's what I was thinking too. He probably thinks it's Saturday. And he was just like, "Oh, yeah, you're right. It is Friday." And he looked at the time. He was like, "Yeah, so I guess I'll leave this here." And I was just like, "Yeah, I guess if you want to." And I was like, "You just put it in your car, I guess." But you know, it's a him thing, so I just let him do his thing. And he left, and then he came back not too long before midnight, thinking he was supposed to come in at midnight. And he came in and said, and I was just like, "Well, did Joe call in or something?" And he was just like, "Not that I know of." Why? Oh crap! I just said his name.
That's whatever.
And
Him and
that's all
Joe
right.
doing
No
comedy
one
now.
knows who he is. I try to avoid using people's names, but no one's gonna like know who he is. And but I was like, "Yeah, did so and so call in or whatever?" And he was just like, "No, not that I'm aware of." Uh, and I was just like, "Oh, did Eric text you and ask you to come in like earlier or something?" He was just like, "No." And he sat down and he was just like, and I was like, "Well, I thought, you know, so and so usually came at midnight, and then you usually came in a little later, right?" And he was just like, you could tell he was just so confused. And I finally handed him the schedule, and I was like, "Yeah, it shows you're supposed to come in at 6." And he looked at it, looked at the calendar, and looked at it again, and looked at everything, and he was like, "So basically, I should be at home asleep right now." I was like, "Yeah, that's probably a good idea." And he was just like, "Well," and then he started trying to blame me. He started saying, "Well, I asked you if I could leave my bag here earlier. Why didn't you tell me something then?" I was like, "No, no, don't try to push this around on me, man." I was like, "No one can understand what weird thoughts are going in your head." I was like, "I had no idea what you were doing earlier."
Yeah, and,
Finally, he left with his bag, and then yeah, so and so showed up. You know, a few hours, like not too long later, like just a few minutes after he left. So. And I, of course, me, you know, my big mouth, I had to tell him everything. "Did you just see what so and so did?" He was like, "Oh God."
yeah, I know. All right, we gotta set them up nicknames, okay, and stick with them.
Well, we had a nickname for the older guy, but I can't remember exactly what it was. And then we did Grumpy Guy for the other one, but I'm just not comfortable with that nickname because I don't see him as a grumpy guy. But that's just
Okay, we'll call uh Monday, Tuesday, Midnighter.
oh God, that'd probably
We'll
confuse
call
me more.
him. We'll just call him military or
Which
cop.
one's Which
Because
one's
the
military?
next
Oh
military.
yeah, because he used to be a cop. Yeah.
So we'll just call him copy.
Copy?
I don't know.
Yeah, that
Dude,
would make me think
naming
of
is the
him.
worst ability I have. Like I cannot name shit.
If he still had his mustache, I could just refer to him as Mustache Guy, but he don't have it anymore. He shaved it off.
We'll call him Mr. Hat because he always wears a hat.
He does wear a hat, but so does the other guy. But we could call him Earring because he has the one earring.
Yeah, Mr.
Yeah,
Hat and Mr. Earring.
there you go. Yeah, Mr. Hat, Mr. Earring, and now we don't have to worry about the tall guy anymore because you know he's gone. So
Yeah, we don't have to worry about Slenderman.
Slenderman. Yeah.
Now it's glasses, and we can still say Jay is Jay because that's not actually his
Yeah,
birth.
yeah, Jay. Mm-hmm.
Because that's already technically a chosen nickname or name that he wants to be called by anyway. So,
Yeah.
so, and you know who I'm talking about is Glasses, right?
Yeah, I know who you mean.
Okay. So, Mr. Earring, I kind of figured that was going to happen because when he texted in the group chat, the group message of ours,
Yeah.
he
Yeah,
said,
I saw that.
I'll be in tonight. And I should have said something then,
Yeah.
but I was in the middle of working, so I just kind of threw it to the side.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even think about that when I read the text. I remember reading the text, but that didn't even click in my head that he said coming in tonight or whatever. So
Yeah.
mm-hmm. I was just thinking, oh, okay, he's letting Eric know that he's not going to call in sick again. He's feeling better.
Yeah.
Which he did look like he was feeling better but I could tell he was like beyond confused. I guess, he does get confused about his schedule kind of easily, and I think him calling in may have threw him off even more than usual. So maybe that's just what happened. Mm-hmm.
Well, like he's less confused by the schedule as long as anything gets changed on his schedule.
Yeah, it throws him off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I can get confused. I mostly get confused about times. I always but if I'm confused, I'll just ask you. I'll call you, text you, or ask you in person. Be like, hey, I am thinking about this right, and I did the same thing when Jared was in charge. I would always just ask him, like, I am thinking about this right? And he'd be like, yeah, you got it. And I'm like, okay, I just want to make sure. But the problem with Earring is he just like, he won't ask. He'll like leave himself in the dark, and I'm just like, dude, if you're at all confused, I'm like, just ask. So
yeah, or look at your schedule that I have literally just sitting on the window every day.
Yeah,
as long as nothing goes wrong, you have the exact same schedule every week, and I always make it every week.
Yeah.
So even if you get confused, like maybe you just thought something wrong, you could look at that schedule or, hey, text to someone, and because we have a group message, hey, whoever's on duty right now, can you send me a look at the schedule for me?
Right. Like, hey, if you can, take a picture real quick and send it. Yeah.
Because Jay's the only one that's not in that group because he doesn't have an actual phone.
Yeah.
Mr. Hat had something he's got to do, not tonight, but it
sounds like a name you'd give to like a toy in Toy Story or something, Mr. Hat.
Yeah. But so Tuesday morning, Monday night, you'll be relieved by Jay.
Why is Joe calling in? Oh, shit, Mr. Hat calling in.
Yeah, he called me this morning, and I guess him and Jay are sitting there talking, and Jay told him that you kind of wishing he could get more hours, and Mr. Hat's like, oh, well, I got something I got to do Tuesday if you want my shift. I guess they're like, yeah. And he called me. He's like, hey, is it okay if Jay takes my Tuesday? It's like, because I got stuff to do. I'm like, well, does Jay want it? He's like, yeah, we were talking about it. I was like, okay. If you and Jay are good on it, I'm fine. I don't care who works, as long as it works. Somebody works.
Yeah, that would be my attitude too. I'm like, as long as someone's coming in to cover the guard check, what does it matter?
And I think that was Jared's thought process too.
Yeah. Somebody's coming in. Yeah.
Are gonna probably question why we don't censor Jared's name. He was a good friend of ours. The previous supervisor, he passed away. That's why censor's name's not really his. It would feel disrespectful giving him a nickname on the podcast.
Yeah. So
I want to make that clear for any listeners. Like 3 or 4 we probably have.
Yeah, well, according to the analytics, we have 3 followers, which can mean a variety of things on here. It could either mean they directly are following, like as in sort of subscribed in a way.
Yeah.
It could also mean, according to this description here, it could also mean that they're just a regular. They've listened to all the episodes, basically, which we've only had 2, so that's not saying much.
Yeah. Sorry about the late episode 3, because the other 2 have been week after week.
Yeah.
we had a situation with Slenderman. He quit
Yeah.
and he found himself a better job, which kudos, in my
Yeah.
opinion. You can
Oh,
find yourself a better job.
I'm happy for him. He had a pretty good drive. Yeah.
Yeah, because he drove, what, an hour and a half
Yeah, something like that.
just
I
to
was just
work
like,
2 5-hour shifts?
I know. That's what I told him one time on a weekend. I was like, dude, it sounds to me like your situation, like it's just not worth it. Like working here, you're like almost breaking even practically if you think about everything. So, and it's just not worth it.
Good gas mileage truck.
Yeah.
And he's also, he retired early, but he's still retired, so he gets partial benefit.
Yeah. Right. That's true. But I just meant like from the job itself. I don't know if he was really
Oh,
gaining
yeah. The
that
job
much out of
itself,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
he'd be barely.
Yeah.
I mean, the job itself probably would pay to fill up that tank and get him a few extra little here and there things.
Yeah, I was like, he probably had a little bit of extra spending money, but was it really worth coming down there? I don't know. I guess it depends on the person. It reminds me
Yeah.
of a job I had one time when I used to live way out in the middle of nowhere, and I worked at a grocery store only part time. When I first started, I only worked like 16 hours a week, and but I only got that job to appease my in-laws because they were complaining over and over again that I didn't have a job, even though I'd only been employed for like a couple of weeks. I was just like, well, yeah, I'm looking for one, and we were in a situation where it was okay for me to be unemployed for a couple of months. And so I was taking my time looking for a job that I might want to do for a while. And they just kept complaining and kept complaining. So I finally was just like, well, fine, I'll just take this, job at this grocery store. And like I said, I was literally like, with that situation, I was practically paying to work there, but I just kept doing it because it kept them quiet. And I was like, this is so stupid. I was like, they're okay with me having this job that I'm literally paying to work at, but they're not okay with me sitting at home because it looks bad. So stupid.
Yeah, the farthest job I've ever had from me where I lived was an hour and a half, but that was because I had no problem with it because basically I drove an hour and a half to the where I worked, got out of my vehicle. Typically my wife dropped me off. She went back home before it was before we were married, and I would get into the work truck and I'd be gone for weeks or whatever because that was when I was doing escort and oversize load.
Yeah.
So I'd go to the boss's house and he had an area in his property because he had a gorgeous big ass property. I mean, it was beautiful where he was at, and he just had a little area where he kept all the fleet trucks. And she'd drop me off, and I'd go to my truck and take off. Anytime
wow.
he called me and said, "Hey, I need you on this load" or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and it was kind of And with that job, it's when I was doing when I was in my rotation, I get to a point where it was my off days, and I'd go home for a few days. So it's not like I was driving every day an hour and a half.
Right.
I think the farthest I've drove for like everyday job is only 30 minutes. I won't go further than that.
Yeah, there is one other job I drove pretty far for, but that job was different because first of all it was full time and I was getting paid back then would have been a lot of money for it. The only reason why I winded up quitting by the time I hit my year mark is because I just felt like even though it was good money, I still felt like I was being underpaid for the amount of work I did. I felt like I was overworked and underpaid, even though the money was good compared to other jobs. And so I was just like, I'm not gonna stick around here anymore. So I quit, and then I wound up moving in with my sister for a while. So,
And that's before you got the job with us, ain't it?
yeah, I had one sort of job in between. I got that job. Oh wait, no, my memory is faulty. That was a job I had before I worked at Walmart. So yeah, I was unemployed for a pretty extensive amount of time, several months while I was living with my sister, and then I became a security guard. So yeah.
Yeah, I know there's one guy that actually lives here in town. He's got 2 cars. One's his everyday car when he's home,
Yeah.
but he bought a smart car because he has to drive like 4 or 5 hours away to his job.
Jeez.
but his job is when he's on it. I think he said is a train driver or whatever. So he's gone for a while on the train.
Mhm.
Comes back, gets in the smart car, drives the smart car back home for his off when he comes back for his off days, and drives the other car around on
Yeah.
his off days. I was like, I guess that's pretty smart. Not wasting a whole lot of gas in that 5-hour drive.
Yeah. Still a pretty good drive, but at least you're not spending as much on gas. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like they talk about people that live outside. They work in LA and Los Angeles, California, uh, but they don't want to live in LA, so they live outside of LA. But the problem is there's so many people that do this. There a lot of traffic builds up, but during those getting into work and leaving work hours, that it literally takes them hours and hours just to get home. Even if they live in like the next town over, that would only be like maybe a 15 minute drive. It takes them hours to get home because of the amount of traffic. I was like, holy shit, dude, I could not do that every day.
Yeah, you could do that. Dude, I will go to California for visiting and be a tourist.
Yeah.
But no, I will never live in Cali because, I could live in like some of the smaller towns or other cities, but I couldn't live in LA and San Francisco.
Yeah. Well, if I did live in California, for one, I wouldn't work in LA and then live outside of LA like that. But I get that jobs in LA, pay more because their minimum wage is higher. But because in California, their minimum wage is based on the city, not just the entire state. And
Oh, you're looking at a 1-bedroom apartment for almost $2,000.
right, sometimes way more than that. But
Yeah,
and
depends on what's part of.
so they're like, well, I'd rather live outside of here, and I guess they just. Yeah, I guess they just are willing to put up with that drive. But me, I would try to find some alternative. I would try to figure out another way around it if I lived in California. Even if I lived close to LA, I would still try to figure out another way around it. I could not do that every day.
Learn how to ride a motorcycle so you can lane split.
or something. Yeah, something, anything. Yeah.
Literally, I would redo my motorcycle license.
Hot air balloon or something. Yeah.
Just the lane split so I can get the fucking all the fucking traffic. Bye, loses. Cali's a nice place, but the two cities are cool for visiting and being a tourist, in my opinion. I don't know if I'd rather want to live. Like, if I was to, I guess in LA, if I was to live in LA, it would have to be because I move in there with a job that pays like really good money.
Yeah. Most of the people that live in LA, it's because they have a really good job. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they can afford to live there.
It makes me remember like when all the YouTubers for the longest time started moving from their state.
I remember that. It was right around between that 2010 to 15-ish bracket, and everyone just
If
they all started moving to LA. Yeah.
I was thinking though, like a couple of days ago, I was like, if I stayed a YouTuber and it would kept growing like it was, I would probably have been one of those guys that had moved to LA just because it was the thing all the other YouTubers were doing.
Yeah. Some of them that worked out really well, and some of them I've heard stories where they actually had to move back to their home state because it didn't work out for them in the long term. They did good for a while, but then some of them, are still living there. Like, of course, Rhett and Link, they're probably the more popular ones that moved to LA, from North Carolina. So
Markiplier, I can't remember if his friends Mark and Wade are out that way.
Yeah, there's quite a few other ones that a lot of YouTubers that people had forgotten about too. Because there's some people that were really popular back in the day, but just now modern day people, they're just like, who's that? I don't know that, but they were actually popular at one point. And now, of course, their names escape me. So I'm guilty of the same thing and going, who is that? Yeah.
Well, I've always been bad at remembering names.
Yeah.
Because I know the Paul brothers, they made it up there when they went up there. But a lot of I don't know about Logan, because Logan, when he went up there, it was funny because when they started their YouTube career, where they're from, they were very much always in the YouTube videos together.
Yeah.
But when they blew up and they moved to California, they split away from each other.
Yeah.
Because like, and also,
Well,
to help Jake
I
is also he got some Disney money.
yeah, I think that's all probably for show, but I don't know them, so obviously I'm not going to pass judgment. But
Well, they decided. Well, basically, they decided to
because
do two.
I think they just made up their minds they wanted to be rivals, but so
Well, the rivalry was just for fun.
yeah,
Just some brother, some two brothers having competing who can be the best.
yeah,
Like Logan, though, like his crew that he hung around up in Cali, I don't think any of them were actually YouTubers besides him. They just were in his videos.
yeah,
Whereas Jake, and this is, also, some issues and stuff with that group. His people were other YouTubers, and he was saying that he was helping them out, and there's whole big old thing that the group says that Jake was taking their money or whatever. I don't know.
yeah.
But
I
Logan's
don't,
group is really
yeah,
just a bunch of weirdos and guys that decided all pile up on Logan's channel and make it bigger.
yeah,
Whereas Jake surrounded himself by other YouTubers
yeah.
that all lived in the house together. I mean, I think Logan still has a lot of his guys living in the house with him, but he's got a whole new crew with him.
Yeah.
They're a lot better people than the old one. Like, I don't know if you know, Logan Paul's got holes in his brain.
Holes in his brain.
Yeah. I can't remember what it's called, but it actually starts developing holes in your brain. So basically, if he got punched in the head really super hard, it could kill him.
Oh wow, I never heard of that.
He like got in a major car crash, hit his head.
Oh, okay. Was he born that way, or did that happen later?
I think it happened later.
Oh, okay.
It's something that can be born with, and also something that can develop later due to head trauma.
Yeah.
Man, he wanted to go. Have you ever seen the Russian slap competitions?
I don't even know what that is.
So I think it started in Russia. But so basically, you stand on this. There's this little thing you hold on to. You stand up there with somebody else. You put some chalk on your hand, and you slap the fuck out of your competitor. And the winner is the one who stays standing.
All right. Yeah.
I remember watching the video. Logan wanted to do that, and he accidentally he was training with the one dude, and he slapped him so hard the dude, like his brain the dude that Logan slapped brain reverted like an hour back. Like he lost his short term memory for about an hour when Logan slapped him. And his whole crew at the time was telling him he shouldn't do that. And he was kind of, now after doing that, he's like, you know what, with my head injuries, y'all say it's a bad idea. You know what? It's a bad idea. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to pull out of this one. I'm like, damn, some growth in this person.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got up to get me a drink, and then when I opened up the fridge, I saw some bread in there that I wanted, so I made bread. So, warning to the audience and to Eric, evidently, since he doesn't like the sound of eating, apparently, you might hear me chewing. I'll try to mute my microphone when I take bites, though.
I'm eating iced gingerbread popcorn.
What's your obsession with popcorn here lately? You like just can't. You told me like a month ago or something like that you didn't even like popcorn, and now all of a sudden you're just like popcorn, popcorn, popcorn.
Well,
Somebody get you
saved
to the popcorn side.
Well, the reason I munched on this because it was my wife's, but she didn't like it. And I like sweet popcorn.
Yeah, I mean, I like kettle corn, and I like what is that kind? Not the caramel one, the other one. that usually comes in those canisters. There's usually like 2 salty ones and then there's 2 sweet ones. One of them's usually caramel and then there's another one, but I can't remember what the other. That one's pretty good too. I don't like caramel that much, so.
But
Well, I don't like caramel much anymore. I used to when I was younger.
yeah, especially popcorn. So, for the listeners, my aunt, for some reason through my childhood, my two of my little cousins that were always around and stuff. That and the kicker is, neither cousin are brothers, or neither cousin are her kids. One's from her little brother, my uncle, and one of her little sisters, the youngest of their 5, my aunt. But both of them are always talking about my second oldest aunt's popcorn. Like they always talk about how she makes the best popcorn. It's the greatest popcorn they've ever had.
Yeah.
Even into adult years, they were talking about it. But for some reason, every time I went over there to stay the night with them, with her husband, and their 3 daughters, my other cousins, she never made the popcorn. I've never in my childhood had her popcorn. Either she didn't have the popcorn at the time, or she had this point where she would only buy it at some points when she knows my 2 male cousins were coming over. Because I never expressed interest in her popcorn, which it just, it don't dawn on you when you're a kid and you're going over to your cousin's house to play.
Well, it would dawn on me because I was kind of a fat kid, but
I wasn't. I'm a fat guy now, but I wasn't a fat kid.
I was a much bigger eater. I believe it or not, I was a much bigger eater then than I am now. So, usually the first words out of my mouth when I went over to somebody's house was, "Where's the food?"
Well, when she came up for my wedding, I was talking to her. We went swimming after the wedding, and I was talking about, she's like, and blah 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 and blah blah. We're always talking about their popcorn. She's like, I could have swore you've had it. I'm like, no, I have never had your popcorn. You have never cooked it for me. The only thing you cook for me specifically, is your biscuit and chocolate gravy.
Ew.
Ha ha ha! I love chocolate gravy. Shut up. And she's like, next time, she's like, okay, she's like, I will be coming down that way at some point, blah blah blah. I'll let you know. And what I want you to do is go buy 4 sticks of salted butter. And she's like, I'll bring the rest. I'm like, okay. So she finally did it. And so she finally made me a huge bowl of popcorn. And yeah, it's fucking good. It's good.
Well, yeah, that's the best part about popcorn is the butter.
Oh yeah, and it was buttery.
It's like biscuits. The best part of the biscuits is all the butter in it.
Mm-hmm.
Oop, I just bumped my microphone. Sorry, everybody.
But yeah. So, yeah, I've been on a little bit more of a popcorn kick. Because that was good popcorn. But my disdain for popcorn is more the savory popcorn. Well, typical popcorn, not any of the cat corn stuff, because like some of those are different, like the cheese popcorn or other flavored popcorns don't typically do the same. It's just the straight butter and salty popcorn.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know if I'm the only person, the only whatever, because most people I talk to, they don't say it does it for them. They say it might a little, but my mouth gets cracked open so bad, my lips anyways, when I eat popcorn. Mainly at like the movie theaters. I don't know if it's their butter or what.
Yeah. Mine used to do that when I was younger. They don't do that anymore.
I don't know what it is, but
my body's just superior.
Only in popcorn ways.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
But pretty much in every way possible. Yeah, I don't know. I never could get into. When I was a kid, I'd only heard of chocolate gravy, like in biscuits, and the thought of it sounded gross to me. But I was like, well, I don't know. I've never tried it, so I was like, I get the idea. You get bread and put chocolate, like a salt type of chocolate type sauce on there. It's like it sounds like okay, I guess. And then I finally tried it for the first time when I was like in my late teens, and I did not like it at all. So I was like, oh my god, that's horrible.
What didn't you like about it? I mean, I want to know.
It just didn't sit right in my mouth. The taste combination. There's something about that chocolate gravy I did not like. So if it was
chocolate gravy you had,
if it would have been just straight up maybe melted chocolate, strangely, I might have actually got on board with it. Like if it was just like you took chocolate and put it on there, like I probably would have liked it a little bit. I still would have preferred biscuits and regular gravy more, but
well, that's your little minded thinking.
It's the same thing the first time I had chocolate cobbler. Like it sounds good to me,
That's
but
good.
when I ate it, I did not like the bread was too soggy and the chocolate sauce tasted weird to me. I was like, I don't like this at all. So
well, it depends on who makes it and how they make it.
well, I've
also,
had a
for
variety
me,
of different.
You also got to think, for me, I've had both regular and chocolate gravy growing up my entire life.
Yeah. Even if I would have ate it when I was younger, I suspect I probably still wouldn't like it. So, because I ate a lot of things that a lot of kids, or tried to anyway, that a lot of kids tend to like. Like when kids eat cake, they tend to like the frosting more because it's sweeter. But me, like as a kid, I actually hated the frosting. I would always scrape it off and eat the cake part.
See, and I'm a weird one. Like I love them both. I love if you have a good fluffy cake, I love the cake. Sometimes it depends on the icing. I don't prefer the icing over the cake.
Yeah.
There are some icings that are so rich and just like makes me feel like my teeth are already falling out just from one bite.
Yeah, like they're just slowly turning brown and just rotting
I love sweets. This is coming from a guy who literally detests what it would do to his body. He ate sweets for 2 months straight, only sweets.
Yeah.
Trust me, you'll feel fucking miserable.
I've never done that before, but yeah, I would suspect that I would probably feel the same way. Yeah.
But it's delicious, all those sweets, but
I get tired of sweet stuff way too quickly. Like if I even eat it like mostly sweet stuff for one day, like literally the next day I don't want anything to do with sweets. So because I just get so sick of that taste so quickly. It's just too strong for me.
The only sweet that I don't really get tired of, and it's kind of a bad thing because I'm semi-lactose intolerant, is ice
cream. Ice cream, I like ice cream. I have to be in the mood for it though to eat it.
Well, for me, it came like when it comes to like plain ice cream or like plain chocolate and vanilla,
yeah,
and strawberry, I like, but only with like a cakey item. Like it's an ice cream sandwich, or if I have cake.
Yeah.
Or when it comes to vanilla, if I have some peanut butter, I love putting peanut butter in my vanilla ice cream.
Yeah, I can see that.
My mom did that all the time, so I copied.
Yeah.
But for me, I like ice cream that's flavored and has bits in it. Whether it be like one of my favorites is apple pie ice cream because it has chunks of the pie crust.
Yeah.
That's where I like ice cream. I'm not the biggest just straight pure ice cream fan.
Yeah, I like straight up ice cream when I'm in the mood for it. Usually when I want ice cream, I always just go to like a fast food place, typically Sonic, but any place that has ice cream in general, because then I'll just get that ice cream out of my system and then I'm good for a really long time because I've made the mistake in the past of going to the grocery store and buying even a smaller thing of ice cream. I'll eat like a bowl of it, and then literally the rest of it will sit in my freezer until hell freezes over. Because
that's why they have little tiny.
I won't eat it. Yeah,
little tiny. Don't need a bow.
Well, the thing is those tiny cups cost like almost as much as it costs to get like a shake at a place. So it's like, well, I might as well just go to a Sonic or something and get a shake. So
But it's funny, right? Shakes are a similar thing to ice cream, right?
yeah, well, it's just ice cream with milk essentially. So
Yeah. But I can drink any type of shake and love it. I love plain chocolate, plain strawberry, plain vanilla shakes. Love it.
yeah,
I don't do the same with ice cream. Just scooping a plain thing of vanilla in my mouth. Like I love vanilla bean and stuff, but it's not.
hmm.
I wouldn't eat all. I wouldn't eat that ice cream all the time.
Yeah,
Versus like if I would eat like Rocky Road or mint chocolate chip or something like that. You know what I mean?
yeah. No, I could eat a plain bowl of vanilla ice cream.
I can eat a plain bowl of vanilla ice cream, but I would prefer to be eating a bowl
Well, I
of.
mean, yeah, I would prefer chocolate, but I could eat vanilla. So
But you had me a vanilla shake, and I enjoy that all day long.
yeah.
I mean,
Usually,
strawberry
if I
shake.
get a shake, I usually either get peanut butter or chocolate, one or the other.
But
Sometimes
I don't
peanut
know
butter
if it's
chocolate.
because it's one's and I'm scooping one and eating it, and versus the
Yeah,
other one's a drink. I don't know if that's
I'm
it's a
probably.
real weird thing. And I find it weird about
Yeah,
myself.
I mean, taste buds and mouth textures can be very tricky sometimes. Sometimes you would think that something would sit good on your palate or taste good to you, but then when you have it, it's not. It may be disappointing, or maybe you just straight up don't like it. Yeah, kind of funny with things like that
Yeah,
sometimes.
because like you hear people talk about that they would never want to try caviar, right?
Yeah, I would
I've
probably like caviar, but it's just too expensive for me.
I've tried different caviars. I've had I went around the world with my buddy, and in the first class had $5,000 caviar.
Yeah,
It tastes all right. I mean,
yeah, I've heard.
I would never pay a couple $100 to $1,000 for caviar or fish eggs. I never would pay that much.
Yeah, yeah,
But
I've
it's
heard it's really, really salty, and I was like, well, I'd probably like it, but I'm not paying that much for that. So. Mm.
the best way I found to have it, and actually a lot of people will agree. There's a lot of people that actually eat caviar that does it too.
Mm-hmm.
Get one nice thin crispy cracker, like
Yeah,
whatever it is. Put some cream cheese on it, and then a dollop of cream cheese, and then a spoonful of caviar on top of that, and knead it together.
yeah, yeah. That probably would be good. So,
But I'm not paying that price. I
yeah,
only,
but
I've
it's
got
just
caviar.
unless I just had money to blow, that'd be the only reason why I would ever consider buying it. Yeah. Mm.
Well, he wanted to do first class in this fancier plane for the longer trip that we were taking
Yeah.
because it's more comfortable. And they came with you could get free caviar for free in the first class. So you know what? It's now or never if I'm going to try it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could buy caviar online, different brands, some expensive ones, some medium ones, but it's just they're all expensive if you don't make a whole lot of money. So
Yeah,
so
I mean, but also I love seafood in general. I love any type of fish or crustacean.
uh I'm not the biggest seafood fan. I do like salmon, and I like mackerel's pretty good. Other than that, I'm not really the biggest fish guy. So I prefer beef. Beef is my go-to meat. So
Yeah.
I could
Well,
hang out with the cows all day long.
yeah, I'm the type that go.
Do
Yeah,
what?
I'm very much the type of person that if I could afford it or if we were in an area for it, because where we live definitely an area for fish, except for river fish, which river fish for me is all right, but ocean fish is the best.
Yeah.
Because I've had both muddy catfish and saltwater cat. Oh my god, saltwater catfish is
I don't like either one.
Well, we've already established. You just said you're not a fish eater.
Yeah. Well, when I was younger, so many people were like, "Oh, you should try catfish. It's amazing." So and I tried it, and I was like, oh god. Well, actually, I tried it a few times, and I was like, ugh, I don't like it at all.
For me, catfish, the muddy cat that we have here,
I've had gator before. It's pretty good.
gator is good. Reptilian is good.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think like what animal have I not ate that's actually edible? Because you go to like, different countries and there's so many different things. Like I remember going to I'm trying to remember, it was Africa or Australia. I'm trying to remember where ostriches are in Africa, right?
Ostriches?
Yeah, because emus are in Australia.
Yeah, I believe they're in Africa.
Yeah.
That you asked me that, and now you make me sound like a.
Well, I'm trying to make sure because I got an ostrich leg, and those things are huge. Just grabbed it by the
Oh,
bone and
yeah, I
just.
bet those birds are pretty big. Yeah.
Oh my god, it's good.
Yeah.
I mean, I've eaten insects as well. So
Yeah, I've had some bugs.
I went to a restaurant in China. All right, and for any listeners, you can look it up. It's a real place. My buddy that took me around the world with him, when we went around the world, dared me to go in there and actually start ordering, eating, and try out the menu. And I did. It's a restaurant that serves nothing but animal genitalia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the name of the restaurant?
I can't remember it now.
Gentle Touch.
Oh, God.
What genitalia did you eat?
A lot.
Oh, just a variety of different kinds.
Yeah.
You wanted to see what balls were your favorite? Huh?
I'm probably going to butcher his name.
I've never had probably the weirdest meat I've ever eaten, which most people probably wouldn't consider it to be that weird, but the weirdest I've ever gotten was just beef, like beef organs.
Yeah.
That's about as weird as I've ever gotten.
Well,
Lots of people eat that stuff. So
yeah. The restaurant, for anybody who wants to know, you can look it up. And I'm going to probably butcher the name. I'll spell it after I try to say it. Guillaume Le Zhuang.
this is in Japan, right?
China.
Oh, China. Okay.
It's GUO, then LIZHUANG.
Fucking A.
The restaurant brand that specializes in dishes prepared from the genitalia, penis, and testicles of male animals from a wide variety of species, such as horse, oxen, donkeys, dogs, deer, goats, sheep, and snakes.
Yum.
So yes, I've had. I tried their menu. You don't know what to say to that, do you? Now, would I go again? Probably not.
I feel like me trying to eat something like that would probably make me barf, mostly for psychological reasons. Like I would know what I was putting in my mouth, and then it would make me want, like biting down on that. I would immediately want to vomit. Be like, oh.
Well, like before that, like I've had like Rocky Mountain oysters, bull balls, and stuff. Like, and I was like, I guess this is technically the next step in that, culinary arts.
Yeah.
But it's a weird thought process to know what you're chewing like that.
The weirdest when it comes to like animal organs, the weirdest thing, and I still to this day I don't know if I believe her or not, but someone tried to convince me once, an old lady I used to work with. She tried to convince me that if she could take chicken gizzards, like the stomach essentially, and blend them up and then cook it in a pan like ground beef, and she said it would taste exactly like ground beef, and I was like, I highly doubt that, but but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah,
She
that
tried
would
to
be a
convince
hard one
me.
to. That'd be a hard one to believe until you try it because,
Yeah,
like, I've had gizzards and they don't taste like beef.
yeah. She claims that if she could blend it up and then cook it in a pan like beef, that suddenly magically makes it taste like beef. That's what she claimed. So she was
I
also
mean,
one of those. She was also one of those people. Every time I told her I didn't like something, she would be like, "Oh, you would like mine." Like, "Oh, I don't like chicken and dumplings." "Oh, you'd like my chicken and dumplings," because she's just one of those people. So I
uh,
was like, okay, calm down, woman. Mhm.
yeah, those type of people, my brain goes, I kind of want to try your cooking to see if you're just boasting. But at the same time, my brain also goes, I don't know if I really want to try it.
Yeah.
Because most people that boast, yeah,
Which she was a nice lady, I'm not bashing her, but she's just that's just the way she.
I know people that are that way.
Yeah. Some people think very highly of their cooking. My mom's like that, which in my mom's defense, she is a really good cook, but I do think she gets a little bit of a big head when she talks about her cooking. So
Well, I mean, you're also biased because you've had your mom's meals your entire life.
yeah. I never realized how good my mom's cooking was until I started eating other people's home cooking, and I realized how terrible theirs was compared to mine. I was like, oh my God, this tastes horrible. I was like, no wonders all your kids are skinny.
Oh, God.
They never want to eat any.
The people nowadays with their cooking, like, it irritates the crap out of me because me as a male, your typical thought for especially growing up in the mid 90s, early 2000s,
Yeah.
the typical male role was still a big thing, right? Nowadays, which is kind of nice, men and
Yeah.
women can have the hell the role they want.
Ugh.
Men, women, trans.
Yeah. Which I
So,
always found it funny that people considered women to be the better cooks when most professional restaurants are actually owned and usually the chefs are usually men. So,
yeah. And like, that was a whole weird thought to me. It's like, but growing up in an era where masculine men rules were big, household men stuff was big time.
yeah.
I really did learn how to do female stuff than I did men stuff.
Yeah.
I go out there mow a yard. I can change a tire and all that crap. Thing
Yeah.
is, my mom taught me that.
Yeah. That's the way it was for me. My mom taught me both feminine, quote unquote, feminine things, whatever that means, and
Yeah,
masculine things growing up. So my mom taught me all that stuff. So
yeah. The stuff that would visually back when we were growing up would be separated. A woman does this and a
yeah,
man does
usually
this.
you would picture your dad showing you how to change the tire, and your mom's in there showing you how to wash dishes or whatever. But for me, my mom did both. Yeah. So
Yeah. So like, there were some things from my stepdad taught me,
yeah,
but yeah, it's just like, but I'm a guy who knows how to cook and cook decently well.
yeah,
So when I see people do these stupid like a woman literally washed with soap her macaroni noodles.
ew.
Yeah, she puts them in the strainer, washes them before she cooks them.
You're supposed to just yeah.
I don't know if she was doing it as a spoof, just to be stupid, or if she's being serious. And that's what I'm like. I'm looking at these videos on this, and I'm like, as a guy growing up in the age I grew up in, and take it now, even as an adult, I do take on both roles because to me, it's I have things on the masculine roles that I like, and there's things in the feminine role that I like to do.
Yeah.
So I'm like, does that like, and cooking is one of those things in the feminine role that I like to do. So, I'm like, how does these people not learn to cook?
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
as I got older, it blew my mind how few people knew how to like cook even just I can understand maybe they can't go in there and make like a meal for the whole family, but like even cook a basic thing like an egg or a grilled cheese sandwich. Like some of these people can't cook any of that stuff. They have no idea where to even start. I was like, how do you know how to do that?
Yeah, like every male and female and everything in between, man, woman, everything needs to learn how to cook.
Yeah, it's something you may have to do, because you never know where life may take you, and it might be handy information to know. So,
Yeah.
mm.
There's a lot of people whose mindset is like, oh, if I have money, I can just go out to eat, or
What
if
if you
I'm
don't
broke,
have money?
I can just buy lunch meat or ramen. I actually know people who can't even make ramen.
Oh God.
They have it for some reason. They can't just boil water.
Just follow the directions on the package. I've seen some people online that don't even know how to make hamburger helper. I'm like, they're doing it in a weird way. I'm like, dude, it tells you on the box exactly how to make it.
Yeah, it's
How it's
just
literally goof proof. How do you do that?
well, apparently it's not goof proof.
Yeah, it's just goof resistant, apparently, because there's still people out there that figure out a way to get the goof in there.
Point in, if you're going to be a productive human being and know how to live your life, learn multiple skills.
Yeah, learn some
Gotta
skills,
cook,
people. Stop sitting on the
clean, laundry.
couch, just doing nothing all day long. No, I'm kidding. You
No,
can
if
do
you're
whatever you want. I
physically
don't
able
care.
to, if there's not a issue, learn how to cook, clean, mow yard, change your tire.
Now, I do draw the line at mowing yards. I don't do that. I
Oh
did
my god!
learn. I did learn how to do it, but I don't do that. So
If you don't like mowing yards, find a place that you don't have to ever mow, like he
I
does.
always, I always pay somebody to mow my yard if I have one. I'm like, nope. I will scrape change if I have to, whatever it takes. I do not.
It is,
I hate yard work.
dude, it is irritating me since my lawnmower's been broken down. I haven't been able to afford to because lawnmowers are freaking expensive.
Oh yeah.
I haven't been able to afford to buy a new one, and it's been annoying to pay someone because all I want to do is put on my music, go out there, mow my yard, and just get away from everybody. That's what I loved about. That's why I do mowing because I can get up on the lawnmower,
You could
turn it
always
on,
just sit on your
drop my
porch or
headphones
something.
in, huh?
You could always just sit on your porch or whatever and just put your headphones on.
No, it's not the same
It's not the same.
because it's relaxing. Just go along slowly. Just it's. I think it's partially because my OCD a little bit, but
Yeah.
it's just relaxing. Just it's like going for a drive, but you're not racing. You're not having to deal with traffic.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a multitask thing. I'm relaxing.
Going
To
for a
just
drive actually was never relaxing for me, really, because driving stresses me out.
everything stresses you out.
No, not everything. Walking is relaxing for me. I like walking. I used
Until
to go
someone honking at you wanting to give you a ride.
until somebody what?
Until somebody comes and honks at you thinking you're a girl from behind.
Well, that doesn't stress me out. I'm just like, no, I just tell they offer me a ride and I just say no, thank you, and then we go on our way.
Yeah.
Just like when I used to live with my sister, there were so many people that lived in that house. It was so crowded. There were many. I would go on walks. Many nights I'd put my music on. I'd walk around, just
Yeah.
walk around the neighborhood or whatever. Sometimes, depending on how stressed out I was from the environment, I'd stay gone sometimes like 20 minutes, or sometimes I was gone for over an hour. So,
Now, what I was talking about is you came to the guard shack talking about people were mistaking you as a woman as you were walking down the street.
yeah, that does happen sometimes. They'll usually what they'll do is they'll come right up on me and like they'll honk their horn. It's usually always some guy in a truck. They'll honk their horn and like whistle at me. So thinking, I guess I'm assuming they're thinking I'm a woman, unless they just think I'm a very attractive man. I don't know. One or the other's going on.
Yeah,
Probably just think I'm a woman. But
you came to the guard and you're like, I'm kind of tired of it.
well, I mean, I'm not saying it's not complete. Like I'm just like skippity doo about it, but but it's not like that big of a deal to me. So, and it mostly happened after I grew my hair out. Like, and it's just something I've just gotten used to as I've had longer hair. So,
I mean, you literally walk into work with you wear having your long ass hair and wearing short walker shorts.
my God, people and complaining about my shorts. I don't understand. Oh,
Bro, if they were any shorter, your shit would be hanging out.
whatever. Literally, shorter shorts are back in on guys right now. I don't know why you're making a big deal about it. So,
Because
and and you and all the other truck drivers there always comment about, oh yeah, I thought that was you walking in your short shorts. I'm like, what the heck? And literally, they're not even that much. They're not even that far above my knees, and they're barely above the black shorts that I was wearing before that. They're like literally like an inch or something shorter than those, and then suddenly people got a problem with them just because they're a bit higher. So I was like, trust me, I got
I
way
think it's less
shorter
anybody
shorts than that.
think it's any less that anybody's got a problem with it. It's just the way you react about us picking on you about it.
It's not like it's upsetting to me. I just don't understand, why
Well,
people.
if it was upsetting to you, we wouldn't have picked. It's you kind of get flustered about it.
Okay, fine. I'll just stop reacting to it then.
No, you won't.
Yeah, well, I can control myself. Kinda. It's just like me when I'm reading articles about Christian stuff. I'm like, you freaking Christians. But anyway, I'm not going to go into all that because knowing my luck, there'll probably be a Christian listening to this, and then I'll wind up pissing them off. So.
But you didn't care about pissing people off.
Well, if I do it by accident, there's really nothing I can do about that. Like I'm just making a comment about something. I'm really not trying to offend somebody or hurt somebody's feelings, and it happens. Well, like I'm sorry, but I wasn't trying to hurt anybody's feelings. But in this case, I feel like I would be kind of doing it on purpose. So.
Yeah, you have a little bit of venom when you speak about certain religions.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, over the past like 6 months to a year, I mean, it's gotten even worse. Like I said, when I first quit Christianity, I used to be a Christian, by the way, to the audience. And when I first left Christianity, honestly, I had no problem with Christians or Christianity or the church or anything. I was just like, I wish them the best of luck, and I hope things work out for them. I just don't want to be a part of that religion anymore. Was my stand. But I've changed, my viewpoint a little bit in the last, particularly the last year, 6 months, the last year, and now it's gotten to the point where I'm like, oh my, free these people. I don't understand these people's mindset. Actually, I do because I used to be one of them, and I think that's what makes me even more mad. So, but yeah. Anyway, I'll stop talking about it. So.
Funny thing is, I'm a freaking pagan, and I'm not as venomous about Christianity as you.
Anyway, yeah.
I don't know why I find it so funny.
I don't know either. So, sometimes I find it funny myself because it's like I just never thought I would. Like if my former self right now, my present self, went back and had a conversation with like myself, particularly in my early 20s, because that's probably when I was the most extreme with my Christian views, and had a oh man, I couldn't even imagine how that conversation would go. I'd probably wind up wanting to get in a fight with myself. So,
I mean, most people want to get in a fight with themselves.
yeah, be like fist flying. Ah!
Every punch just hurts yourself because it's your past. Stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself.
Oh my God.
I feel like the past you has a advantage in a fight over the present you because
I don't know. I was in pretty bad shape when I was in my 20s. I feel like I could probably kick my butt. So, self.
I'm anybody in general. If the future you, if your present you went back in time,
yeah,
and you started beating the shit out of past you, I feel like past you will always have the advantage because theoretically, every punch you throw at them, you feel instantly.
not necessarily.
But when they punch you, they wouldn't feel anything.
Not
They
necessarily.
can literally stab you to death, and they're fine. They
Depends
just
on
have
what
to
you believe
remember
about.
not to come
Depends on
back in
what you believe
time.
about timelines. But yeah,
Well, there's two theories on timelines. I mean, it's either
actually, there's a
time.
lot of theories on timelines. But yeah,
Well, the two main is like when it comes to messing with time is either
and now
time.
part of the podcast where Eric goes on to his scientific. Yeah, okay, anyway, keep going.
Oh God! You know what? You know what? No, I'm done. I'm done.
No, you keep going. I was just teasing.
Ah. Well, the main two theories is if you do anything in the past, time will course correct itself. You know, become a new linear timeline.
Right.
But then there's also the
When
branch
you
theory.
think of a timeline, you think of the Back to the Future type stance where when you do something in the past, it just immediately changes it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one theory.
Yeah.
But then the other branch theory is you do something in the past, it branches a new timeline.
Right.
The previous timeline still exists. The original one that you came from would still exist, but there'd be a branched version of it.
Yeah.
Which I don't know which version I like.
Well, the Back to the Future version is definitely much simpler to follow, movie and show wise.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why people like those movies so much is because it's, even though there's a lot of time travel in it, it's easy to follow because they keep it simple. And because anytime, again, something changes in the past, well, boop, just immediately changes in the future too, and the present. And but then there's other shows and movies they want to tell this more complex version, you know, and people are like, wait, what? You know, so that didn't happen yet, or that did happen, and then it changed, or it didn't change. You know, they're like very confusing. So,
I mean, time is a weird thing.
Well, there's many scientists that don't even think time travel is even possible anyway. But I mean, until we actually verify that, we don't know for sure. So,
yeah.
I just farted. Hopefully, that didn't get picked up on the mic.
I didn't hear it, but now people are going to know because you said it.
Well, I don't mind if people know I farted because obviously everybody farts. I just don't want people to hear it. You know, if that makes sense. It's kind of like the whole masturbation thing. You know, everybody masturbates, but like I don't want people to see me do it. You know.
It depends on the person.
Well, I don't know. I don't think I'd feel comfortable with anybody catching me do that. Like even when I used to be married, that it would have been embarrassing me for me, even for my own wife to catch me. I'd have been like, "Oh, I was just checking something." Yeah.
No, for me, okay. So when it comes to the wife thing, like if I was to actually masturbate, my wife came in and caught me, I would feel weird because realistically, I could just see, hey, babe, you in the mood?
Yeah.
Is actually have sex, but like to me, masturbating while in a relationship is kind of. I don't do it unless it's Shark Week, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because if it's not Shark Week, I can see if she's in the mood, and she's in the mood. I just actually have sex.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. Like when I was still married, masturbation was actually a pretty rarity thing for me. The only time I did it is if she was like out of town for the night or something like, some kind of scenario like that where we weren't around each other that night. So
yeah.
Mhm.
Go for time travel. This masturbation is sex.
I know, right? But I'm single now, so my right hand, is like my best friend. So
yeah. Yeah. I mean, and even girls won't admit this, but like sometimes, masturbating is a lot nicer than sex, especially when you just want to actually get off. Don't want to worry about.
Yeah, if you're only concerned about the orgasm, it is actually nice because like it's the quickest, easiest way to just get there. Yeah. So
because when sex, you think about all the fun you can have, or
right.
For us guys, some of us guys, like there are guys out there that don't give a crap. I actually have a friend who's his whole thing.
It depends on the person. Yeah.
Yeah. His whole thing is he's gonna come and he's done.
Oh, he's done. He don't even care about her. Huh? Like if
He
she
always
hadn't
makes
come
a joke,
in.
but he's like, every time I get in sex, I have to win that race. I got to come first. Like, shut the.
No, I never did that. So I I
So
I understood that it's not easy to time those things. So I mean, sometimes
yeah.
yeah,
So like for me, having sex with my wife, I want to make sure she's good and satisfied as well. And so if I'm over here, like she's not at the house, or and she won't be back tonight, or it's Shark Week, and I'm like, I just want to have it's just done, and I feel good.
yeah,
And women do it too. No woman can deny it.
yeah, yeah. Women, don't be denying that crap. Yeah.
But
So sick of y'all denying it. No, I'm being
I
silly.
will say it's easier for men to get to go quickly masturbate than it is women.
Yeah, if, for most women versus most men, yeah, because I think men and women just think about, in general, of course, I'm not going to categorize just everything, but in general, I think it is more common for men to just kind of seek the climax, and then but women want all the stuff that kind of builds up to it. So,
Yeah.
but again, it can vary on the person. So I've heard of guys before admit that they actually like the foreplay more. So, and I'm like, oh, interesting. So.
I mean, I like the foreplay more.
I mean, I like the foreplay. Well, when I'm actually having sex anyway, and I'm not just by myself, my favorite is actually not even really the penetration part. My favorite part is the oral sex. So, and that's
A lot of guys like oral
giving
sex.
or receiving. That's giving or receiving with me. So,
Yeah, like you know what? I kind of.
I don't know what it is about that, but it's just like a major turn on for me. So.
You're getting really comfortable on the podcast. Already episode 3.
Well, I don't think that's necessarily more embarrassing than me just, admitting that I essentially masturbate every day on the podcast. So I was like, well, once I
Talking about
admitted
this
that,
sexual
now I might as well just go
preference.
all the way. Well, maybe not all the way, but go much further. Yeah.
I won't talk about my sexual preferences on the podcast. I'm good.
We're literally talking about a podcast named Barf City, so which I'm not necessarily talking about all my sexual preferences. I'm just admitting that I prefer oral more than penetration. I don't think that's really that extreme. So I've seen people admit way more extreme on Reddit. Of course, it is fair to say on Reddit though people are more anonymous, but so,
Yeah.
but I don't mind people know. I'm perfectly comfortable people knowing that. So dead air, is that what you said?
Dead air time.
Yeah. Well, I'll take care. I'll take care of that in the editing process.
I
But
know.
that's going to be the tricky part when we finally switch to when we try to finally tease around with video podcasting eventually, whenever that time comes, is we'll have to, because it's kind of harder to edit a video and audio. I mean, it's not impossible. I mean, I can do it, but it's just a little trickier. And I would like there to be a lot less dead air time when that time comes, because it's just going to take so much longer to edit it if I have to cut that out and video out.
If
So
we ever do decide to do a video,
yeah.
which is probably quite a bit in the future.
Yeah, I'm shooting for sometime next year. I just don't know when. So we'll just have to play it by ear as of right now. So
I feel like it would be less
I
dead air
mean,
time
not that
because,
that's
like,
saying much because this year's already almost over. But I just meant like,
yeah,
sometime next year. I'm hoping to get it before the next year is over. I'd like us to at least dabble around in video and see how it goes. So
yeah, everyone can see my ugly mug.
yeah, I mean, I'll have to start fixing myself a little bit more in that case. It's like for my YouTube videos, if people knew the amount of prep time I just went in just on myself, and that's not even including like the area and setting up, all my stuff, like just on myself alone, the amount of prep time I went into for my videos is like, that's where most of my time was spent when I did a YouTube. Like I might do this 3-minute YouTube video, but they don't realize that I literally spent like hours just setting up the video alone, and then I got the editing and all that stuff. So it's like it was a
Well, I mean,
night.
I think a lot of YouTubers do that unless they have to like rush a video out.
Yeah.
But I
The
mean,
only
it's a thing you kind of want it to look presentable on footage, and
Yeah. Well, for me, it's my problem is I care entirely too much what people think about me. So, and when I'm thinking like that, I'm mostly paranoid about my looks. So for some reason, and because that's just how my brain works,
yeah,
and I'm very self conscious about the way I look, and so when I'm going to be on video that I know is going to be archived unless I take it down, and even if you do that, if someone decided to download it, well, too late. It's on there now, and there's really nothing you can do about it.
yeah.
And so it's like I want to make sure I at least look halfway decent, you know. So
Uh, yeah, for me, it's kind of easy to just kind of throw on, a not ragged T-shirt and
yeah,
either comb my hair and put on a cap or something. And
yeah. Comb your hair once in a while, Eric.
I'm
Jeez.
good. What?
I said, yeah, comb your hair once in a while, Eric. Jeez.
I don't give a rat's ass how my hair looks at work.
Oh, I don't either, as you can tell. Which my hair, in my defense, my hair usually looks better before I leave the house. I usually will fix it decently, maybe not perfectly, but decently. But by the time I get to work, the wind's been blowing it and shit, and so by the time I get to work, it looks like shit. But so in my defense, it does. I don't leave the house with it looking like that. So, I also don't really care that much. I was like, yeah, I know it looks like shit. I don't really care.
I'm also the type of person that I can wake up with half my hair sticking straight up and just shake my head and it just falls back down.
Yeah, mine when my hair is shorter, mine's the exact opposite. Like my hair will stick up in multiple places, and when I can use all kinds of gel. I've even used expensive like hair creams and hair gels and stuff, and got it combed down, and it looks real good. And then literally give it like an hour, and it'll slowly just like go back up in those spots again. And I'm like, well, crap. So that's one thing I don't miss about having shorter hair is I don't miss dealing with that stupid crap all the time. So.
The only time it does that to me with shorter hair is like if it's like only a few inches long.
Yeah.
That's just because it's not heavy enough to just drop.
Yeah.
But for my hair, I mean, I can get it to lay down pretty easily no matter what. I just when I get my comb, put it on the faucet, get it wet, and comb my hair down.
Yeah.
And it's done when it's at that length. But
Yeah.
definitely not
That's
at that
what I
length.
like about I think that's the reason my hair tends to stick up a little bit more when it's shorter because my hair is like, really thick and magnificent and beautiful and everything. And so it's like when I grow it out, it gets more the thickness of my hair actually adds more weight. So then it helps it sit down correctly. So the only downside to the thickness is it can get if I don't brush it right or if I let it dry wrong, it can get kind of a little wavy or look a little weird. Maybe sometimes in the middle if I don't, correctly let it dry and brush it and stuff. So
Well, at the length my hair is at now, it irritates me because like if I drive with my my driver's side window down, my left side gets this nice. I mean, it looks good. I love it. This weird like wind swoosh backwards almost
yeah,
to it, but the right side stays so flat down because I'm not. The wind's blowing on the left side, not the right side. Now, I don't know how to get that same like motion on both sides.
yeah,
A style I actually like because it kind of like. I mean, I could probably do it with gel or something or hairspray and different products, but I don't like putting product in my hair.
I don't. Yeah, I don't mind putting it in my hair. It actually, in some ways, depending on the product, it actually kind of feels nice when I first put it in. It's later on in the day when it feels kind of like maybe I might go do something to my hair, like I might run my fingers to it, and then I feel it there. I don't like that feeling. Like later on in the day, it feels like there's something in my hair that shouldn't be there, and I don't like it. So, and it gives me the sudden urge to immediately want to go home and shower it out. But it does. I actually kind of like it when I first put it in, though. I actually kind of like the feeling. So.
Yeah. I don't really like putting product in my hair.
Yeah. I typically don't. The only time I went through that phase was when I went through that really dress nice phase that I went through in like my late 20s there, where I wore like pretty much all dress clothes, and I also kept my hair like extremely neat and groomed, and I went and got my hair trimmed like every 2 weeks and keeping it at that same length, and I would always put like hair cream in it and to get it to look a bit shinier and stuff like that. So
Well, I've never been that guy.
yeah, I
Like,
grew out of that phase after a couple years.
I'll put some kind of product in if it's like I need to make my hair look nice for a wedding or
Yeah,
some kind of event, or like, when I went to prom in high school, I did my hair up nice. I got a fresh new haircut and had a little, gel in it, had a design, whatever. But no, on an average day, no, I'm not gonna put any product in my hair. No.
another problem with me is it's just I'm way too lazy. It's just too much work. I'm like, I don't want to do that every single morning. I don't know, I have no idea how some people can literally stand in front of the mirror for like almost an hour every morning, like fixing their hair, they're putting like 5 pounds of like facial stuff on their face. And I see some of this stuff on like Instagram and social media and stuff. And I'm just like, I could not do that every morning. I'm way too freaking lazy for that.
No, because like it would help when I was in drama club.
Yeah.
Just
Now, if I had somebody to do it for me, that might be okay.
well, just on my hair and face and makeup and stuff alone
Yeah.
took like 2-3 hours.
Yeah.
And I'm literally you think like I could expect that if I had like needed face paint for a creature but that's literally just playing a human, playing Willy Wonka, just being Willy Wonka in the play.
Well, that's how long it took them to make you look like a normal. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Ah, ha, 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 ha.
Actually, I personally wouldn't mind that too much. Like if I had a person to actually do my hair and makeup for me every morning, which I know you're talking about, like for a play, like actors I know go through that as well, and people on television and stuff. But like I actually would be okay with that because then I could just sit there. I would just sit there and like put my headphones in or play on my phone or whatever while they did it. So, or heck, I could even just stare into space. Wouldn't bother me none. I just don't want to do it myself. I'm too lazy.
Well,
so
the thing is, like, you have to. The problem I had with it, like, I mean, I don't know if I could do it even if I at home. If say I had the money to hire someone to come do my makeup every morning or whatever,
yeah,
and do my hair. I said do my makeup like I actually wear makeup.
you still have to do your own makeup, Eric. Get over yourself. Yeah.
Like to do like if I was to like wear makeup or want something done with my beard or my hair,
Yeah.
like have someone on call that can show up every morning. I don't think I would want it. I'm just not that.
I love the way you said that. I don't think I would want it.
Well,
I don't know, it just sounded so funny to me.
For me, it's easy for me just to comb it.
Yeah.
Comb my beard, comb my hair, and just move on my day.
Yeah. Yeah, I really need to come to think of it. I really need to find a significant other that'll like just every morning would be willing to just like do my hair and everything for me every morning. I would actually have no problem with that at all. I'd probably look so much better too. I'd be like, here, you do my hair for me and anything you think needs to be done to me, and then I'll just sit here,
Yeah, I've actually like grown my hair out longer than what it is now. Actually, longer than yours twice.
Yeah. This is the longest my hair's ever been. So.
First time was when I was a teenager and I was living with my grandpa.
Yeah.
Because I was over in Germany with him and my cousins had long hair. And up to that point, I was 13 years old. Up to that point, I had never been allowed to have long hair.
Yeah.
because my mom would always keep it buzz cut for the most part.
Yeah, that's the way it was for me too.
And so when I got that chance for the 2 years I was there, I just grew it. And of course, when I got back, my mom forced me to get a cut, but when I came back home,
Yeah.
kind of half-ass, regret return to the U.S. and half-ass don't, because I've had a good life here, but still,
Yeah.
I was like, But anyways, and then the second time was because my niece and my little sister seen a picture of me with my longer hair, and they were talking about if I had grew my hair back up, they'd want to mess with it, decorate it. So I actually grew my hair out for a couple months. Well,
Yeah.
it wasn't a couple months, but I grew my hair out to that length, to the long ass length again, for a couple months, so they could actually just to bond with my sisters and my niece.
Aw.
Uh, Now I'm growing it up because I have a plan on what I'm going to do with it.
Oh, you got plans.
Uh huh.
Wow.
Unlike you, I actually plan my life.
I already told you I had a plan. Whoa, you're planning what you kind of hair you want. Wow, what is such a complicated life you got planned going on there.
Oh yeah.
Actually, I hadn't told anybody this yet, but this coming week, not only am I getting a haircut, quite a bit off by the way, I'm also going to be dyeing my hair. Probably not this week though. Probably not until the weekend. I'm going to be dyeing my hair, but you won't see that until I do it. So
That's going to be interesting.
yeah. I'm hoping it'll work out the way I want it to look, because I've seen somebody on Instagram. It always goes back to Instagram with me. Like anytime I do something to myself, it's usually because I saw it on Instagram. But I saw somebody on Instagram did this hair like this, and I was like, ooh, I think I might look good with that too. So if I have a backup plan though, if it looks terrible, if it looked terrible, I have a backup plan. So
Remember, you got to be only natural colors with our job.
only natural colors.
Yep.
Why?
I don't know. It's in the policy. You dye your hair, it's got to be natural colors.
Well, my sister had blue hair. She never got in trouble for it.
Well, you also know the situation with that one.
But yes, it's only natural colors. But now I feel compelled to do something weird simply because maybe it'll get me fired and then I can draw unemployment.
Considering I'm your boss and I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like literally, and I don't think my bosses are going to ever show up on your shift. Well, I mean, I say that, but when I was, no, because I was still in first shift when you showed up. No, yeah, I don't think anybody's ever going to notice your hair. Actually, maybe they changed that because Julie would have had to have met him while she was acting supervisor.
Yeah.
She had blue hair while she was acting supervisor.
Well, it could be one of those things that is technically the rule, but they just don't enforce it that much. So,
Yeah, because technically, I don't think I'm allowed to actually have a beard at work.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's probably one of those rules. Like it's the rules.
But yeah.
As long as no one at the job site has an issue with it.
Yeah, and it's pretty much like that. As soon as someone has an issue, then they would enforce the rule. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of sucks about our job. You can do all this stuff for so long. One person has an issue and it all has to change.
Yeah.
At least for a couple months till they forget about it.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Then it's business as usual.
Yeah, then it goes back to not being enforced again. So.
I love it.
You love it.
That was sarcasm.
Oh, I never heard of that.
Uh-huh.
That's a funny thing. When I was a kid, I actually thought the word was sarcasm. I thought that's how you said it, because it sounded to me like that's what people were saying. I am technically partially deaf. I've even gone to the doctor and gotten tested about it. But I think as I've gotten older, I've just kind of gotten used to adjusted to it, I guess. And when I was a kid, I was still adjusting to it. So I thought that's what people were saying. And then so I finally read somebody's T-shirt one time. It was some guy's T-shirt when I was in middle school, and it was talking about how much he loved sarcasm. And when I looked at it closely, I was like, oh wait, that says sarcasm. I was like, I thought it was pronounced starcasm. And I was just like, oh, okay, I'm an idiot. But at least I got corrected in middle school, and it didn't like take me like years of my life to figure that out. Otherwise, knowing me, who knows? I might even still to this day still think it was pronounced sarcasm.
Yeah. Well, like, there's a lot of things, being dyslexic that I thought was said somehow.
Yeah. Some things I've said wrong when I was a little kid because I realized my mom was saying it wrong because she said it wrong, and I thought that's the way it was said because you hear your parents say it, you just think that's the way it's said, and then when it wasn't until I got older I was like, oh, that's not the way. And sometimes I've had that issues with spelling too, like everyone like the word clothes, like clothing. I thought it was spelt like close the door because that's the way it sounded like people were saying it to me. But then I realized people say the word wrong. It's not pronounced close, it's close. And so it's like I thought that's what. So I didn't realize I was spelling it wrong all that time. I was like, oh, I'm an idiot. I don't know how to spell that. So okay.
Yeah, actually, clothes,
Yeah.
is a hard one for me to spell sometimes.
Yeah.
Because, with being dyslexic, anything that has a similar sound to me, my brain can't put it to pad, right?
Yeah.
And like, it also looks weird to me when I spell certain things. Like,
yeah, I'm like that with some words too. If I
my wife will be like,
like,
"No, you spelled it correctly,
weird.
but you sure?"
Yeah. It's kind of like the word oil. I got, it's a lot of people especially in the South, they pronounce it oil, but it's pronounced oil, and so they're like oil, and I'm like, it's not oil, it's oil. I remember correcting my mom on that just a few years ago, and she was like, "Well, how are you supposed to say it?" And I said oil. She was like, "Well, whatever," and got all mad. And I was like, "Well, I'm not trying to like come down, and I'm just letting you know that's not how you say it."
The funny thing on words is like you can do this like over in the UK, like aluminum, we say aluminum.
Yeah.
They say aluminium.
Yeah, I've heard that before. Or it's like the whole vitamin thing. Yeah. Yeah.
But they call gas petrol.
Yeah. And that's fine because that's a different dialect. But yeah, some things are technically, some things in some situations they're the ones saying it wrong, and then there's other situations where technically we're the ones saying it wrong. But I mean, languages and dialects evolve, so I mean, it can vary depending on what time you live in. So,
well, not just that, it can vary in like just in the United States, state-wise, because there are things that are said certain ways in certain places that people in other places, it's like the same argument, soda or pop, soda pop, soda.
Yeah. Well, in Arkansas, we say it Coke. Everything, they're all just Cokes. So, which to some people in the North is freaking confusing to them. So, but yeah, here in Arkansas, a lot of people always call all sodas Cokes, and that confuses a lot because when I used to live in Iowa for a little while, and I tried to explain that to somebody, and they just thought that was the strangest thing they'd ever heard. They were like, "Well, it's like, well, what if you actually want a Coke?" And I was just like, "Well, you just say you want a Coke." And they usually can tell by what you want based on the context you say it in, and they're like, "Oh, okay." That just seems like weird, but I was like, I don't know. It's just like a cultural thing. Just somehow we just all picked it up, or most people anyway. So,
well, like and it's weird because like you say that, but like I've heard like two groups. What do you want to drink? I want to give me a Pepsi. And they mean they want a Pepsi product.
Right. Yeah. If you wanted something specific, then yeah, they would specify. Like if I wanted, like, let's say I decided I wanted a Sprite, someone might ask me, like especially if it's one of my family members that say Cokes for everything, they're like, "Oh, did you want a Coke?" And I say, "Yeah, get me a Sprite." And to other people, they might think that's really weird, but you have to think, like, just replace Coke with the word soda or pop, and then you'll understand. Because when I lived in Iowa, everybody called it pop. That's what they said. So when they said pop, I knew they were talking about like a Coke. My brain would have to translate, oh, like a Coke. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I just kind of go on the sense of now. You want a drink?
Yeah, there might be
Some
some
people
situation. The problem is if I'm presenting, like, let's say I had a party or something at my house or whatever, and I just said drink, that seems a little too open. So someone might be like, well, what do you have? You know, and then
That's
so
the
to
thing.
me, it might be like, well, I would probably say more like, well, I got some Cokes and I got some water, or, or I got, maybe I had a couple beers in there. Like I got some beers if you want one of those, or whatever the situation may be. But now if you're getting it from the vending machine, now that might be a little different because now they know their options are a lot more open, most likely. And so they're like, well, did you want a Coke? And they might be like, well, get me a root beer. So, because they know that that's probably available. So,
Yeah, well, like also for me, like I don't like because I know I had a vending. There's a vending machine that actually had Yoo-hoos
yeah.
that we'd always go to. It's a 25-cent vending machine.
Which that's another thing. Yoo-hoo. I actually pronounce it Yahoo. So, and I've heard other people say it that way too.
I just
So,
say it how I say it,
yeah.
and everyone knows what I'm saying because it's Yoo-hoo
Right.
or Yahoo.
Which I know what you mean when you say Yoo-hoo, but like that's
Yeah.
not the way I say it. I say Yahoos.
So
So,
I just basically however it comes out of my mouth. And I
yeah.
guess I do the same thing with
Oh, is that one of those words you pronounce interchangeably or something? Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I do that with the word data and data. Sometimes I say data and sometimes I say data. I use that interchangeably. So,
I've done that one too.
yeah.
Like for me, saying Coke, Pepsi, or Pacific Drink, or hey, what do you want for drink?
Yeah.
I use all that interchangeably, and I guess it really depends on who I'm around.
Yeah.
Like, and I've noticed that my word choices just naturally happen in certain groups. Like, if I'm around my mom and them, I might say Coke or soda or whatever.
Yeah.
But around other people, I might say, "Hey, what do you want to drink?"
Yeah,
And just
I probably do that too. I've just never noticed myself do that, but it wouldn't surprise me if I did do that and I just didn't realize it. So,
yeah, it's weird when you notice it because you're like, "Huh, what do I speak so differently?" Like, I have certain friends that I completely change my speech pattern with them. I mean, everyone does it.
yeah. I mean, when if I'm in a situation where I feel like I need to talk more professional, I do tend to talk more distinctly. Like I'll
Yeah,
like really define, like really pronounce my words very carefully and stuff like that. So I do know that I do that. And yeah, and then if I'm hanging out with family or friends, I tend to just kind of relax and just say it however. But so
well, mine I don't think about it. I notice when I can catch when I do it sometimes,
yeah.
and I know I do it because I mean everyone does it naturally. Like
My
with
one of my
my
friends, the weird thing is when he tries to do a professional voice, like anytime he like goes to order food or something, let's say, and he's trying to do a more sophisticated voice, an extremely thick, even thicker than normal Southern accent comes out, and and every time he does it, I try so hard not to laugh because it's funny because he's trying to do a more professional sounding voice, but it comes out like that, and
yeah.
so I always try really hard not to laugh, but it's sometimes I can't help myself. Sometimes I do. So.
Well, uh, like if I'm on the heads on my Xbox playing with some of my friends, I have younger friends, in their early 20s and stuff that talk to and they play video games with, and they speak more like say like that's bussin' or
Yeah.
on baby, that kind of stuff. Like talking about Riz and
Yeah.
that with that newer way of speaking that a lot of that younger people have, and as I've gotten good friends with them, I'll catch myself when I'm talking to them. And I'll get off my headset and I'll look at my wife and be like, I am getting way too damn old to be talking to like that.
Yeah, with new slang words, I know most of them, but I don't use them because I just feel silly when I use the words, but I do like to be familiar with them because that way I know what people are talking about. If I'm ever like with a younger person or around my kids, sometimes they'll use like some slang words and stuff. So I know what they're talking about, but I don't ever use them. So
Yeah. Well, I use the slang. whoever group I'm
Watching
in.
Instagram reels kind of helps me keep up on slang a little bit. So
Yeah. Like back home, I have the ghetto friends. What you call the ghetto, and they have a different slang. Way they speak and hanging out with them, I tend to use their slang.
yeah.
Yeah, because there are certain slang words that, because I'm white, I'm not allowed to use. I don't ever touch.
See, I don't do that. I never change my slang based on who I'm talking around, who I'm hanging. Like if I suddenly hung around with like, you know, a group of friends that talked very differently, I wouldn't just suddenly talk like them. I would just still talk like myself. So,
Yeah.
what the heck was that?
I was getting a phone call.
Oh, okay. I just heard it sounded like somebody was buzzing their hair or something. I'm like, are you buzzing your hair right while you're on the podcast?
No, my
No.
wife was calling.
Your wife was what?
My wife was calling me. She just got off work.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So I just texted her.
Are you having to go get her, or does she have the car?
No, she's got the car.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, well, if you need to get off, you can. This is going to be a long episode, I realized, because I didn't realize that we had already recorded 3 of them before we started this one. I was like, oh, well, I guess it'll make up for us not having an episode last week. And so,
Right.
yeah.
No, when using the slang, it's less about changing my speak for them. It's more I kind of get into it with them, and
Yeah. Which I'm not against that. I can totally understand that. That's just not something I've noticed that I never do. So,
well, it's also fun because I will come around my family with those group of friends, and my family has no idea what the slangs are. So
yeah.
speaking to with their slang is like speaking another language with my friends that my family doesn't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's hilarious to see
I
some
feel
of
like
my
that's kind of why younger people tend to do slang anyways, because they want to say words that older people don't use. It kind of feels like their own code words. So that's why and that's why sometimes they don't like older people using it, especially if you're much older, because they're like, oh, you shouldn't say that because, that's supposed to be for us kind of thing.
You're too old for that.
Yeah.
I love how I got called old recently, and I'm only 30.
Well, you are really, really, really old. No, I'm kidding.
You're older than I am.
Yeah, but like, let's be honest. If someone were to look at us side by side, who do they think would be the older one?
I don't know. Like, I mean, I have a beard, so.
Yeah, the beard alone would make you look older. So.
The thing is, I've been able to grow a beard since I was.
Actually, I never really thought about what your age was when I first met you. I wasn't thinking like, oh, he's younger than me or he's older than me or we're like the same age. I didn't even think about it. I don't know. I tend to not do that with people. So I don't know. That was a really weird thing I went on to. I'm just going to forget I just said that the last like 15
Well, for me, when
seconds.
it comes to the workplace with that,
Yeah.
is I don't normally care, but with with the small group, with the security guards with us.
Yeah.
When I got hired in, I wasn't, caring, and then everyone started talking about their age, and I, feeling old. I'm like, how old is everyone? I'm here in my 20s, my late 20s, yeah, but everyone's already in their 30s or older, and I'm like,
wait, who was all in their 30s?
Or like almost 30, because Jared was 30.
Well, I know the Jared, but
I don't know how old I can't remember how old your sister was, because I mean, this was 5 years ago that I started. I was 25 when I started.
Yeah, well, 5 years ago she wouldn't have been 30 yet, but she would have been pretty close to it. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone was like either on the cusp of becoming 30 or over it.
See, I would have still been 27 when I first started, so I was just coming out of my mid 20s, so hitting into my late 20s. So
yeah. Looking like you were 21.
That's because I was going through a really early midlife crisis. And I was trying to make myself look. I literally shopped at forever21.com and I like tried to make myself look like as young as possible because
Dude,
I was so scared to turn 30. I was scared of it. So
I hated Rue 21, Forever 21. Like, once I hit like the main bit of my puberty, I started hating those things because, like, the thing that people don't, like all my friends, like, well, you're not emo no more. You don't feel it. Like, no, I couldn't be, like physically looking because puberty forced me out to be able to wear the emo stuff as much.
yeah.
Because they didn't make those types of clothes that I really liked wearing in my broad size.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here 6'4".
Yeah.
In high school I got up to 220, working out.
Right.
Football and stuff. Nothing emo in that sense of emo worked for me.
That reminds me, I wanted to ask you a really weird question. When I was in high school, I heard a rumor, and to this day, I still have no idea if this is actually true or not. Because I never played football, in high school at all. The only time I ever played football was like catch football with my friends. That's like as far as I went with it. I was never on a team or anything. So, but I heard a rumor that football players, and maybe it depends on the school and stuff and the group, I don't know, but they apparently play this game called the biscuit game, and they apparently lay out this biscuit on some kind of whatever, a chair or whatever, and they apparently masturbate over the biscuit, and whoever the last to come is has to eat it. Is this actually a true thing, or is this completely made up?
So I know about the biscuit game.
Yeah.
My team didn't play it. My schools,
but it does exist.
I played for did not play it.
Yeah.
At least two of them for sure while I was there anyways, because I was in junior high playing for them. The other one I was in high school.
Yeah.
Because the first school I only played there for 1 year in my 7th grade, and then I moved to another school and played for 2 years there, and then moved to my final school that I ended up getting expelled from. Yay.
Geez, you went to a lot of different schools.
Oh, bro, let's see here. Rams, Eagles, Cougar. I went to about 10 different schools.
Shit.
Or so through my life.
Yeah.
And like there was a weird time where I was bouncing between like 2 Pacific schools.
Yeah.
Like the schools were 30 minutes apart. And for some reason my mom couldn't make up her mind if she wanted to live in this town or this town. So like every year we would move to the other town. Most of those schools that I was to was only like for 1 year, and then we moved.
Yeah.
It settled down with 4 main schools that I went to the most, and then the other ones were just sprinkled in between different places. And it would all depend on like one school I went to for like a year, and only because my mom decided, because my older brother, he lives with his dad.
Yeah.
Dad got custody of him because my mom was pregnant with me, and she went into labor during the court date.
Yeah.
There was a whole thing. They awarded him custody because my mom didn't show up. And she wanted to be closer to him, up there in the area of my brother at one point. So I went to the school with him for a year.
Yeah.
And it was also the first time I ever sprung my wrist. Because two kids...
You sprung your wrist playing the biscuit game?
Two kids did like the fact that I was... So, when you have that like grade school boyfriend-girlfriend crush thing?
Yeah, yeah.
Me and their sister basically were like little boyfriend-girlfriends or whatever.
Yeah.
And they didn't like me. And I was on you know the kind of like the jungle gyms, but it's that big round one that like rounds up on the top. You know,
Uh,
it's kind of like the top part of a
I think I'm
skateboard.
picturing it in my head, but I'm not sure what it's called. Yeah.
Uh, it basically looks like the front part of a submarine.
Yeah.
It's this massive steel structure that you can crawl on the outside, inside, whatever.
Yeah.
And I was on that, and I knew what was about to happen because I was up there just chilling, and all of a sudden I see them two climbing up on both sides of me, like pincer maneuver.
Oh crap.
So I knew on top of this thing that these two were about to try and fight me or do something. And they ended up shoving me off, and I sprung my wrist like trying to catch myself.
Yeah.
And I remember the little wrist thing they put me in to keep my wrist in place because it cupped up on my palms, so my hand was like slightly upwards with my palms open, my hand open because I could really close it with this.
Right.
But it had this metal piece on the front of the forearm to keep my wrist, from ever moving.
Yeah.
Well, being a kid, being rough, whatever, it started tearing a little hole in it. And I noticed that the little metal piece was actually removable. So I got this, and this is way before Assassin's Creed came out. So I guess technically I'm the first assassin in my head. I pulled the metal piece out just good enough where it can be seen, and I put a little tack in there to hold it in place. And when they'd come near me, I would stab them with it.
Dang.
That became my weapon to defend them off. They gave me the weapon to their demise. In my opinion, I just stabbing them with it anytime they come near me. Caused me to be in a little fucking brace. I was much revenge kid. You hurt me on the playground, I will get my revenge.
Ooh. Bad boy.
No, I wasn't a bad boy. I just didn't take shit.
Ooh.
Well, mostly because if I took the shit, my mom would bust my ass for not fighting back and defending myself.
She was one of those moms, huh?
Yeah. You don't start a fight. If you start a fight, you get your ass whooped. If you lose a fight, you get your ass whooped and get home.
Yeah.
So I've only lost like 2 fights because the ass whooping when I got home hurt worse than getting in that fight. I mean, technically, I've lost more than twice in a fight, but those losses were staged losses. Because in indie wrestling, of course, you plan the loser and winner in wrestling. But in any serious fight, I never actually lost unless it was. I guess we can consider a fight between friends just fighting for fun of it because it wouldn't be technically a serious fight. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was about to say because you've lost like so many fights with me, so
I've lost no fights with you.
You've lost so many fights with me; it's not even funny.
Like says the guy who would never fight me.
No, I'm not gonna fight anybody. I have a very pacifist mentality. Like I just think trying to stir up violence is just always a bad idea. But I understand everybody has their own different views on it.
Well, I went through a weird phase in my life because, like, when I was a kid into middle school is where it really started to change the way I would, like, because even in, like, elementary school, a kid would push me and I'd punch him.
Yeah, I never did that.
Kid would say something
I might look at him and be like, what the fuck? Well, I probably wouldn't say that, but I would look at him like that, but I'm not going to, like, hit him. So.
But when I got into middle school and I met Jay and Jay got me into martial arts.
Yeah.
And I started adopting this more don't fight unless I have to mentality. And it came into this or defense against, if one of my friends are getting picked on, I defend my friend or somebody. So I went from this kid who would fight over anything to this kid who would only fight if either he was seeing someone who was being bullied, because I always hated bullies my entire life.
Yeah.
I bullied the bullies, which can be also a bad thing because, they're bullies for a reason. Typically because their household's not so good sometimes. But, it's still saying you're a bully, you're picking on, you're hurting little, smaller kids. I'm now, especially when puberty hit and I was bigger than most kids in my school, you're going to get shown that there's a bigger fish. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm not saying in any way I was a, Billy badass. I could always, win a fight. But the reason I didn't lose a fight very often, except for those 2 times, is because, well, 1, I didn't want to get my ass beat when I got home. But 2, I never done the whole mentality of a fair fight in a sense. If you are holding me down or something, I will bite you. If it's open, I will punch you in the balls.
Yeah. No, I agree with you there. If someone has me tied down against my will, I'm going to fight back in any way I can on that situation.
So, a lot of people say, "Oh, you didn't win that fight. You cheap shotted."
I would be like, I don't give a fuck about winning any fight. They had me held down, and I was going to defend myself. So
for me, it's dude, it's still a win. He backed off, didn't he?
Yeah.
I still beat his ass.
Yeah, that would be my argument. I'd be like, I don't care. He had me down, and I defended myself. I don't care.
The loser of a fight is the person who either can't get back up or runs away.
Yeah.
There's no in between. Says it's not a lost fight if you punch him in the balls and he can't get back up because you hit him in the balls too hard. There's no rules there.
Yeah.
And I would have no problem. I got into a fight with one kid, and I barely managed to not get hit in the mouth, and I stuck my foot out and hooked under his foot and tripped him, and he headbutted the wall and knocked himself out. I still counted that as a win.
Wow. That's like an epic fail right there.
What?
I said that's like an epic fail right there.
Yeah. I've only seen 2 people in my life knock themselves out, get knocked out from getting hit into the wall.
Yeah.
One was home, and the other one was this other kid who was standing on the landing between the second and third floor of the second and first floor, of our school. And he was looking up at this other kid, they were just going at it. You could hear them yelling at each other.
Yeah.
And the kid that was up on the stairs punched the one on the landing. Punched him, and he headbutted the wall and went down the stairs onto the first floor and was out.
Oh, dang.
Face hit wall. He rode downstairs and was done.
And that's exactly why I don't get into fights, because that I would probably wind up being that person that tumbles down the stairs like that. So.
Well, you don't fight on stairs. Don't pick a fight on the stairs, especially when the opponent's got the high ground. Just ask Anakin Skywalker.
I would say that was not the only reason why he lost that fight, but yeah.
It was. Obi-Wan had the high ground. He tried to flip over him, so Obi-Wan cut his legs off his arm.
Oh, dear Lord. Don't get me started on that whole high ground crap. But anyway, so you're saying the biscuit game, going back to that.
I was trying to keep it away from that.
Oh, I could tell. But I want a straight answer. So you said you and your friends' football, group or whatever did not play this game, but y'all have heard of people playing it or seen maybe somebody playing it? Is that what you're saying? Yeah. Yes to which? You seen it or you heard of it? Because I want to know. This is something I've been curious about my whole life. Well, since I heard it anyway, not my entire life. It's not like I heard it when I was like 5.
Yeah. Seen it be played.
So you seen it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You've seen it played, but you didn't participate in it. Yeah.
No.
Okay, that's something I always because sometimes you hear stuff like that, and then later on, you might find out years later it's a bunch of bullshit. So you're just like, so I was like, what did they just make all that up, or because
The thing is, I
I'd
think
only
it's
heard it. Yeah,
if you realistically like what I know about it is like, and I can't speak for all sports, like I think it started like somebody making the joke about it being a thing
yeah, and then it actually slowly became a thing.
because someone was like, "But you wouldn't do the fucking biscuit challenge,"
Yeah,
you know, the biscuit game. It's probably one of those. Like, there is probably has to be a team out there that's done. Like, not all the guys that I've seen do it were football players. It was at a party, so there
yeah,
was alcohol involved.
yeah.
But
So this isn't
I've heard,
necessarily just a locker room thing. This is like a yeah,
yeah. So if it's ever said in the locker room, it's probably eventually was spread somewhere else too.
yeah,
That's something I've noticed big time while playing football and with the team is that they come up with something completely stupid to do, like the cup check thing. You know about the cup check, right?
I don't know.
So cup check is you walk up to someone and go cup check and you hit them in the nuts.
Oh, okay. That doesn't surprise me, but I didn't know that was a thing. Yeah.
It started in sports because you wear a cup in football, and someone would walk up cup check, and if you didn't have a cup on, you got whacked in the nuts.
Yeah.
And so it was a super thing, and it just spread through the schools.
Yeah. I used to have this one friend in high. We're not friends anymore, but in high school we were. As a matter of fact, he was actually my best friend, but I don't know why, but he was. And and he used to randomly smack me in the nuts all the time. Now he didn't say that, but he would just randomly hit me. But usually with the back of his hand, he would just kind of like
Yeah.
we'd be standing there and he'd just go, "Watch out!" And I would be like, "Holy fucking shit, dude!" And I finally got tired of it. So one random day, I did it to him, and man, he went down like on the ground. I was like, I must have hit him just perfectly, or maybe I hit him a little harder than I intended, but he was like down, like he almost looked like he was about to puke. I was like, "Oh
I
shit,
did
I
that
didn't mean to
to
hit you
Jay.
that hard." So.
I did that to Jay one time, and it was me, Jay, and my little brother. We were walking around just being stupid, and I seen open like he was relaxed. He was taking those big wide strides, walking,
Yeah.
and I literally with the palm of my hand went straight down. Like I went quick enough. Like I felt his ball sack and everything cup in my hand as I slapped him. I pushed those fuckers all the way back up his fucking stomach.
Jeez.
There's a backward going, ah! He went fucking down.
I know my daughter's really bad about accidentally hitting me in the nuts sometimes, and I make the same stupid joke every time I get hit. I'll go, "Oh, geez," once I get over the pain and stuff, I'm always like, "Well, I guess no more kids for me." And the of course my son gets it, but then my daughter's like, "Wait, what?" She's not quite old enough to understand that yet.
Yeah. Well, so when my niece was getting older, I started teaching her how to fight a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Well, I told her, if you come against if a guy ever tries to hold you down or grab you, bigger, just straight kick him in the nuts.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Just straight hit him in the nuts and run. I didn't think, anything about that, Well, my nephew, who's her little brother, is a little a-hole sometimes.
Yeah. Most little brothers are.
And I used to rough him up and teach him how to fight and stuff, whatever. Well, I guess he got mad at his sister, and they got into a little match, and she decided to use her brother's a little stronger than her, so she kicked him in the nuts and swelled up one of his testicles.
Jeez.
And everyone in my family knew where she got that thought process from. So, God, did I hear it forever about her kicking her little brother in the nuts.
Never thought you'd hear the end of it, huh? Kind of thing.
Yeah. Like, Well, it's a good thing that I taught her. She clearly remembers everything I taught her.
Yeah.
At least now you know. She's going to be fine when she's older. Like, well, now she's almost 18.
Yeah.
She's going to know, kick the dude in the nuts and run. And at least you know she's got a good kick. She gets that from my mom, her grandmother. My mom is short, but I don't want to get kicked by that woman. Oh my God, that woman's vicious with a kick. Yeah. Most things you see or hear about in locker room, I would say probably 7, 8 times out of 10 is probably true.
Oh yeah.
True in the aspect of it's been talked about or joked about.
Because I've heard all kinds of crazy stories. To me, that was the craziest one. That's why I wanted to know. So, because it just it sounded believable and unbelievable at the same time. So I was like, okay, I got to know this. So as soon as you brought that up, and we were talking about like masturbation earlier, so I was like, my brain kind of morphed those two things together, and I was like, oh yeah, I've been meaning to ask somebody this like so many years now. I'm like, I'm gonna do it.
Well, the thing is, the fucked up thing about this, right?
Yeah.
Is you bring that up in the podcast where we've literally talked about masturbation, squirts, and biscuit and gravy.
I didn't even think about the fact that we talked about biscuits too. That should be the title of the podcast: masturbation, biscuits, and gravy. No, that doesn't have a good flow to it. I'll think of one, but yeah.
I'm curious what you're going to put on this one.
Biscuits and cum, gravy. I don't know.
No.
Oh, come on, Barf City.
This is not going to be a podcast episode of podcast I want my mom to listen to. I mean, I did warn her that she might hear some stuff that if she did ever decide to listen to our podcast that she never probably knew about her son.
Yeah. Most none of my family, as far as I know, except for my sister, none of them know about it because I told her about it in conversation. But none of them, I have not told them because I was like, my mom would probably be horrified to hear some of the things I talk about on here. So
yeah.
Now my other sister, she probably wouldn't care that much, but yeah, my mom. Yeah.
Or
my oldest sister. My older sister's the one that used to work with us. I told her about it just in conversation, really. So, which I know neither one of them would care. So, because I mean, I've talked way worse with my older sister. I've said directly way worse stuff to her, and she's sitting there going, "Oh God, I didn't want to know that about my brother."
I walked into the guard shack as you two were working together, to her being like weirded out by something you've said. Like it's I'd either walk into the guard shack and you two would be just dying laughing at some joke one of y'all made, or she'd be having, or
she's
doing your own
freaked
thing.
out.
Yeah. Either it was laughing, doing your own thing, or she's freaked out by something you just said.
Yeah.
It was literally one of those three options anytime I'm walking that guard shack when you two were working together on the weekends.
Once I see somebody gets weirded out, like by something I'm saying, my natural reaction is to want to push it further to like weird them out even more. Because I've done that with earring at work a few times too. Like all I said was, I didn't even say anything that weird. I did, to me, it didn't seem that weird anyway. I just made a comment that when I said something about me taking a bath. I can't remember what I said. I made some kind of comment that I can't remember if it had to do with the temperature of the water or something. But then I said something about, well, if I lift my legs up, then it takes some of the temperature out. And he was like, okay, I don't want to know the details. And then, of course, my first response was like, well, yeah, then I got to spread my legs. And then he's like, oh, shut up.
I love his reaction that day. Like, when it was me, you, and Jay in the guard shack, and he came in that last weekend. I was like, yeah, Jay's my backup, and he's my backup. Talking about me and my wife ever split up. Me and Jay are going to be emotional gays, and if me and Jay don't work out, I want to be emotional gay with Kevin.
Nope, I won't be available at that time.
Damn. You know,
How do I? Oh, I know.
yeah, you're just always emotionally unavailable.
That's probably true, but honestly, I was probably emotionally unavailable my entire marriage, which is probably the reason why it didn't work out. But anyway, I won't get into all that. But
Ugh. That's gonna be later episodes. We'll talk about the failed and successful marriages.
what are you trying to insinuate?
Hmm.
What are you trying to insinuate?
I don't know.
You've been married for like a month. I don't think your marriage is quite
More than a
successful yet.
month. But thing is, me and her have been together longer than your
Nope.
entire relationship.
Doesn't count until you sign that paper. Doesn't count.
Oh, it doesn't count. So a whole decade with the same woman doesn't count.
Nope, don't count. That means nothing.
Uh-huh.
Well, we're about out of time, so we'll have to get off. So.
All right. I guess that's wrap it up.
Yep. Oh, you want me to
All
do
right,
it?
well, that was interesting episode 3.
Yep.
All right, see you in the next one. Bye.